on. I've been on these meetups for a while, like the last year and a half, really. And I've met Bud. Bud is always a go-getter, but also Bud is retired, right? He just retired, recently retired from the military, right? Can't you tell? Right? So without further ado, Bud's going to talk about the burst strategy tonight and how to use infinite banking to improve and to continue making your burst strategy profitable. Bud, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. International and Mr. Goins. I really appreciate that. Guys, if you know me, I am big into, we'll say, creative financing. I see Adam on the call tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Duran, for showing up. I appreciate it. Adam is one of those guys who I'm working with in the future to get into creative financing and use it in different ways. So I'm going to jump in here and get this thing kicking off. There we go. All right. Everybody see this? Right there? Okay, great. As long as we're not showing the presenter view, we're good to go. All right, so fantastic. I'm actually going to go to the first page. I'm a coach for Tarek El Moussa from HGTV. The show's on tonight. I'm actually missing it for this. So I really appreciate you guys having me. I've been working with Tarek now for about 6, almost 8 months, and I'm considered the burst strategy subject matter expert and also creative financing. So this is an advice disclaimer. Following information, sample documents provided for general education purposes and are not substitute for financial, legal, or accounting advice or professional advice. I do not provide financial, legal, accounting, or other professional advice. I make no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, validity, or completeness of the information of the documents provided. Accordingly, before taking any action, seek the advice of your licensed professionals. Last thing is this: if I say it, it's because I've done it, not because I expect you to. Okay, so let's talk about the way that most people learn. Okay, Confucius says, I see and I forget, I hear and I remember, I do and I understand. So most people generally get into this and they watch webinars and they read books and all that, but unless you actually jump in with both feet, you're not going to be able to pick up what I'm putting down. So how does this all work? So we're looking at the Michael Gerber's E-Myth. We're looking at why most small businesses fail and how do you prevent it. So you build your business as a franchise model, so that way anybody can take up the reins. Checklists and SOPs are primary requirements for any business to succeed, and your chances of your chances of success increase dramatically. Okay, the whole key here is to not work in your business, but to work on your business. And if you have 4 hours to cut down a tree, you spend 3 hours sharpening your axe. Okay, that's actually one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. So business growth, this is what we're looking for. Is your business better with or without you? If you said with, then you're at the tech or the managerial level, and you are the single point of failure. It is completely and totally resting on your shoulders. So in 34 years of the military, and I am retiring today, September 30th is my last day in the military. My official retirement date is October 31st, but I come off orders today. My terminal leave paperwork is filed tomorrow, and I am done. Okay, so here's what I learned. Don't develop employees, develop or acquire professionals. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're doing it wrong. Train them to your standards and evaluate them periodically. And once they're ready to be on their own, just give them a direction, give them your vision, and then watch them explode and watch them do what they do, because that's when people get really creative. Task them, but don't say, do it this way. Say, hey, this is what I need. Can you do me a favor and do this? And they might have thought of some way that maybe you never thought of, like Elon Musk with Tesla. Even after Tesla with his space program, brought in engineers that said, the old-fashioned engineers were like, we could never get a rocket that heavy off the ground. Elon Musk went to an engineering school and said, him, and him, and her, and pick them all up, and there we go. Okay. So keeping that in mind, here's what we're looking for. I tell my students, my friends, and anybody who will listen that progression is like a pyramid. Okay. In this particular case, in real estate, you can skip around in a bit. And I'll tell you that if you're going to find a niche and enjoy that niche, jump right into it. Don't wait. But this all comes down to about how much you can market, how much you can work, how much you can raise capital. I'm pausing. I'm pausing. How about now? Better? Does that work? Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So beginning, you're prospecting, you're basically working every waking hour as much as you possibly can. You're working leads, nurturing them, massaging them into productive and lucrative projects. You're running down wholesales, knocking on doors, driving for dollars, bandit signs, skip tracing, cold calls, lead generating, all on your own, unless you can set a higher marketing budget. And most people cannot, right? Most people are getting into this with nothing in their pocket, or they're taking a leap of faith and betting on themselves. And, you know, some are concerned that doing this, they might even lose their W-2 job. So the base of your pyramid might be the foundation to creating your income. Maybe you jump in there, earn what you can, and cherry pick what you can for the rest. So a little bit about me. All right, I'll go down the list. I'm a 30-year plus Air Force veteran, currently serving until the end of today. I live in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. I am a local and long distance burr investor, and I've been doing it since that's actually January of 2019. October of 2018 is when I started in the real estate field. So far I've done, I can't say 10 flips and 20 wholesales. Now it's 30 flips. Flip that. It's 30 flips and 20 wholesales. Okay. I realized I hated them both. By the end of my first year, I did 14 burrs. I was on the Active Duty Passive Income podcast. I made about just over $1 million in about 6-8 months. And then I was in Lessons in Real Estate podcast number 61 as well. So here's what you don't see. And everybody's got a story. So I'm just going to give you mine. Given away at birth, raised by a meth addict and alcoholic, constantly berated for being stupid, unwilling to compromise, bored in school because nobody knew what ADHD was. I could do my physics homework in my head, my favorite teacher, Mrs. O'Brien, but I failed tests in other subjects because I didn't show work. I didn't think I needed to. I didn't do homework because why should I if I'm getting 90s on tests? So I squeaked out of high school, barely noticed, with a B- average. My guidance counselor told me I wouldn't be successful in the Air Force because I wasn't smart enough, and I should probably go into the civil service field as a trash man. No kidding. They're the words that came out of his mouth. I had a scholarship taken away from me for rowing because my grades weren't high enough. My parents got divorced and told me I was screwed up and I'd have to go into the trades. But this is where they fell into addiction, by the way. So going into the trades is exactly where that happened. And then my brother eventually followed suit and subsequently abandoned his family, and we're estranged at this time. All right. So pretty impressive, right? But here's the thing. Since that time, got an associate's degree, one in munition systems technology, another one in bachelor's an associate's in science and contracts management, bachelor of science in finance, a minor in accounting, Academy of Military Science graduate of 2008 with a GPA of 3.9, commissioned officer, master of business administration, conferred in 2012 with a GPA of 3.85 while I was working a full-time job, working a part-time job, reffing hockey, coaching hockey, and playing hockey. I'm a burr strategist and a HELOC advocate since 2019. So that's pretty much it. Sounds pretty impressive, right? I didn't know squat. Okay. What changed? The E-Myth, 4-hour work week, Think and Grow Rich, how to win friends and influence people. But that wasn't how it all started. For me, just like a lot of people, it was the Purple Bible, right? Kiyosaki was the first to write about the things that I learned. He wasn't the first to write about it, though. It was George Clayson in 1926 wrote a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, which was based on documents found in Mesopotamia over 4,000 years ago. Okay. So I'm going to go over a couple of these things that start by flattening your purse, pay yourself first, control your expenses, make your gold multiply, guard your treasures from loss, make your dwelling a profitable investment, real estate, right? 4,000 years ago, they're talking about real estate. Ensure future income and increase your ability to learn. And then Kiyosaki, and I'll get into this in a little bit, is your house an asset? Okay. This was something that I jumped into back when I started, because I'm kind of competitive, not only with myself, but with other people. I jumped into this self-growth challenge, and no kidding, within 1 year, I read a total of 86 books between Kindle and paperback, hardback, online, whatever I could find. Sometimes I read along with Audible just to keep me up at night. One thing that really kind of sent it home is Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, who wrote Extreme Ownership. Basically, if I screw up, it's my fault. If my employee screws up, it's my fault. If my employee's subordinate screws up, it's my fault because I'm not providing the guidance that they need. Okay. So let's talk about this guy that's on your screen right now. That is Matt Zvitkovich. I call him Z. Okay. Z was one of the first people who actually believed in me when I started getting into real estate. He was a private money lender. I met him at a Flyers game in a bar. And a lot of my stories start with, so I'm sitting there talking about real estate in a bar. And that's how a large portion of my capital has been raised. Well, Matt Z decided that he was going to ask me, hey, bud, how can I do what you're doing? And this was after about 3 or 4 properties. And I said, well, what are you asking me, Z? He said, well, what would it take for me to partner with you and us to go into business together? I said, 300,000. He said, done. I said, I should ask for 5. He said, I'd have gave it to you. All right. So we started code 3 properties. Okay. Guys, I'm just going to go over this really quick. It's going to be fast. All right. So I'm going to go over my standard operating procedure for BRRRRs. Okay. Pretty simple, pretty quick. It is a no kidding. This is my by the numbers Bible for the BRRRR property. First thing that I do is everything that I do has a cover page. Okay. We're looking at, kind of specifics, the address, what's it look like? What kind of analysis am I going to do? I'm going to throw together a table of contents. I've got a seller lead sheet, which comes directly from questions that I ask my seller, when I nurture their lead. Essentially, it's how long have you owned the property? Are you the registered owner of the property? That one's important. That one's important because you're hanging out with this person, having a conversation, having a great time, thinking that, everything's going well. You're doing great, man. I'm going to close this deal. And then you find out that his divorced wife is the person on the deed and she has no intention of selling the property. 3 days later, after you're ready to actually go to contract on this thing. All right. So lead sheet is important. Are you the occupier? Are you the owner? When's the last time your roof was done? When's the last time your floors were done? When's the last time your bathroom was done? When's the last time your kitchen was done? If you were going to stay, what is something that you would do that you currently haven't done? What is making you leave at this time? And things of that nature. And there's a whole checklist that I go down with that. The tax assessment is another page. Very important because you need to know exactly what you're stepping into. If somebody tells you that you have a $3,000 a year tax bill and you don't know that it's actually $9,200, welcome to New Jersey, then you're going to have a problem. Okay. An MLS map of comps, the actual MLS comps themselves, off-market comps. Off-market comps are just that simple. Like you can find them in Zillow. They didn't get sold on the MLS. They got sold and now they're showing in Zillow that somebody bought it for $81,000 instead of the $425,000 that it would have been listed for if it was a completely rehabbed property. My comp evaluator, my rehab estimator, and then my deal analyzer. In addition to all this, I throw in Bigger Pockets BRRRR calculator because it's got pretty pictures and it's got nice colors, and private money lenders don't look at Excel spreadsheets. They kind of do like this, right? They roll their eyes and not exactly that fun. But anyway, so the seller lead sheet or the wholesaler's one page, depending on what you're going to do. Okay, I use RealFlow. So in this case, it's the seller lead sheet and automated deal flow or RealFlow. They're kind of interchangeable. Like we talked about, are you the owner? Who's the mortgage holder? Is it occupied? Are you the occupier? Kind of important. Tax assessment, all the stuff that we just talked about, the map of the comps, the actual comps from the MLS. Is it a FEMA flood zone? Here's a little nugget of wisdom that I found for free. It's an app called Smart Draw. If you're doing single family properties, You can do your own drawings. You don't have to pay an architect $9,000. All you need is a laser level or a laser pointer with a measuring device on it. You can go wall to wall and just do an estimate, and you can come up with things like this. This is actually, no kidding, that house that was on the front cover. This is that. So it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom bungalow. Bedrooms were a little smaller up top, but master bathroom and all that stuff was awesome. All right, the repair estimator, no kidding. This is the scope of work. This is exactly what I use. It comes out of real flow. I can plug everything in. It's going to give me an exact dollar. Or I can use the Excel spreadsheet that I have, which will show me exactly what I'm going to pay at the end. It's exactly the same thing. One, it's a paperless office, and the other one, this is an Excel spreadsheet that I have to upload. And it all depends on what I'm doing, whether I'm walking the property with a clipboard or I actually have my iPad. I can do either one of those things. All right. And then the deal analysis tool that I use is, again, an Excel spreadsheet. It's also available through RealFlow, which is the CRM tool that I use when I'm doing the BRRRR. And then the Bigger Pockets tool. Like I said, it's pretty. It's got nice little graphs. It'll give you numbers, but that's all nice. People just love to see colors. They love to see pictures. And Excel spreadsheets kind of make you look, kind of make your eyes roll to the back of your head. All right. So here's the thing. When I get into a BRRRR property, I want to make sure that I have a second exit strategy. In most cases, I look at BRRRRs as though every BRRRR should be a flip, but not every flip should be a BRRRR. I look for cash flows that are between $300 and $500. I look for returns that are going to be greater than 15% if I'm going to flip the property. All right. And I look at it this way. I can have $30,000 now and then have nothing left at the end of the 3 months that it's going to take me to flip that property, or I can have $300 per month plus appreciation, plus depreciation, plus the tenant paying down my mortgage for a gross income that's going to well topple that 15%. Okay. And then if the rental analysis works, we do the purchase and sale agreement, and then I work on the finance aspect of it. And I'll get into this because I really want this to be interactive. I kind of enjoy the conversation. So I got a couple of things that we're going to go over as far as the HELOC. I know Adam and I have had this discussion before, which would be better, the CVLI or the home equity line of credit. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm glad you're here because I'm really looking forward to that conversation. All right. Private money lenders. Huge. Okay. Promissory notes, have all the particulars in there. And then I have a very detailed scope of work so that my contractors can't kind of screw around. This one is, I think this one was about 20 pages. And if you can see it, it's from demo of the exterior. If there's a fence or a deck, if there's landscaping, roofs and gutters, all the way down to, no kidding, the what kind of light switches I'm going to have, including the SKU numbers and the internet numbers, and what kind of covers they're going to be, what color they're going to be. Vacant property insurance is very important. And when I do this, there has to be a very good conversation with your insurance agent about exactly when this is going to flip, exactly when the expectation for the insurance company, because it's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So, you have to have this rented out, and then there's a flip between your vacant property insurance and then your occupied structure insurance. That has to happen before you rehab or before you refinance the property. And your insurance agent has to be on board, because if they ask me how I know, if they go out there and they inspect and your tenant has moved in, but they've only moved their beds upstairs and haven't moved any furniture in downstairs, and the inspector goes and checks it out and there's nobody on the first floor because they're at work, they drop your insurance. That's awesome. True story. Yeah, they actually charged me $800 to reinstate it. All right. So here are some things that I go into. And if you're into single family dwellings, even if you're into small commercial multifamily and you're the project manager, I'd recommend that you go this way with these things. There are documents that I consider critical. First is the independent contractor agreement, which spells out exactly what your contractor will do, what the project cost estimate is, the taxes and building permits, and who's responsible for that, who's responsible to be there for the inspections, who's going to pay for them, what those inspections are, who's required to clean up and exactly when, what the approval process is. So my wife will tell you this. I'm very famous for saying to a contractor, is it your done or is it my done? Because if it's your done, then that's not good enough. If it's my done, then we're good and we can just move on. And that's happened. In this case, that's my buddy Alex on the left-hand side. We got the permits in the window. We're moving along. We're looking for the demo. That's awesome. That's the most fun. Everybody has fun hitting stuff with a sledgehammer and tearing that stuff apart. Mechanicals, electric, and plumbing are the big three. Roofs, windows, and curb appeal are on the outside. They're the big three on the outside. We get back to that contractor being done. We do the punch list. We get everything done. We're all set. We're getting ready to close, or we're getting ready to refinance the property after that. And here's what we got. We got the final and unconditional waiver of lien. This is probably one of the most important things that you can deal with when you're talking about contractors, because this document here protects you from suits at the end. Okay. And I have everyone fill this out, not just the GC, not just the project manager, the electrician, the HVAC guy, whoever did the landscaping, if they had a bricklayer, if, all of them, plumbers, everybody. Okay. If I had somebody come out and they did a camera on the sewer line because, hey, it's Jersey and we do iron and clay, right? Well, when it gets cold, that flips. If the guy screws that up, or if he says, hey, I never got paid for that, great. You're going to have a lien against your property. When you try to refinance it, you're going to have a problem. So everybody does this waiver of lien. And then you've got to look and see in my towns and certain towns that I have, there are required rental permits. You have to every year pay about $100 to the township to do that. And then make or break, guys, property management. You got to have that contract all set and squared away when you're ready to go. The W-9, obviously that's very important. You're going to fill that out with your property manager so they know exactly where the money's going to go to. All right, guys, it's time to change your insurance. We've just put somebody into the property. The property manager has just got the occupied structure, and then we're going to refinance. Okay. So we refinance the property. Hopefully we're able to take a little bit of money out. In this case, I got about $28,000 from that property, was able to pull that back out again. I had only borrowed about $14,000 from Matt Z at the time. So I put $14,800 in my pocket, went back out and did the whole thing all over again. Over the course of time, we were able to take our earnings, do an additional flip. Let me make sure I stop sharing right now for a second. We were able to do one additional flip and then take two of the Burr properties that we had and flip that and create a situation where we had enough cash to make a down payment on a commercial multifamily property of our own. And that's in Pittsburgh. Now I've got right now 21 doors between New Jersey and Pittsburgh, one commercial multifamily, and we're closing on another 48 units, hopefully by the end of October. Okay. Now, does any, I know that went through really quick because the whole purpose, the majority of people know what I'm talking about when I talk about the Burr strategy. And this is all over the place, right? It's coined by David Green from Bigger Pockets, but this has been going on for years. People have been doing this forever. Okay. What I really wanted to get into was how to take this and put it on steroids. Okay. So who has questions about this right now? Anybody? No. Awesome. Okay.
Questions.
Yeah, hit me.
First, first, great. I got a lot of great information. I have two important questions. How has your SOPs changed from when you started? Because I'm an Army guy too, so I know SOPs. So they're living, breathing documents. How have they changed from from where you started to that great set we have right now? And what was the biggest lesson learned while you were developing that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ken. Two of the things. Well, let's start with the biggest one. The scope of work, the bank or the financier, or if you're using a commercial lender, they don't care, or a hard money lender, they don't care about 30-page scopes of work. They want everything on one page with a draw schedule, everything broken down line by line. And no kidding. Let me see. I think I had that in the one page in here somewhere, but Vacant property insurance. I did. Yeah. The finance, the one finance page. This one was one that was about my fifth or sixth one in. And I put together this template for ground floor lending, but it's by date, draw one with demo, or it goes from the bottom to the top. Demo, permits, demo, exterior, interior, mechanicals, plumbing, electric, all that stuff. And that's like, no kidding. And it, like, column one is permit fees, how much for the demo, what's my contingency, that's line one. Draw two, another specific date, and that one was like, power washing the deck, we're exterior power wash, we're painting something else outside, we're planting some shrubs. Then you go inside and we're dealing in draw three with the replacement of the mechanicals, the electrical check, the plumbing check, the sewer check. Now demo's already done, so everything is wide open. Then we have our inspection period, where all the contractor or all the township people are coming out and basically, punching us in the face, inspecting us with a fine tooth comb, because that's kind of how it feels when you're going through it. One guy will come out and say, "Hey, that looks great." And then the next guy will come out and go, "Hey, tear that wall back down because I didn't see the, well, wait, your guy said that we were good. Why am I tearing the wall down? We have the, okay, whatever, that happens. So that was one of the big things. The other one was the actual process, right? So when you first start out, you're stumbling through stuff. You're doing your best to have this project move as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And then something inevitably comes. There's never been a project that I've gone through that something hasn't come up. Every single time. You cannot plan. It's like they say, right? In all of the best laid plans, planners forget that the enemy gets a vote. Okay. And I'm not calling contractors or the townships the enemy. I'm just saying that's the statement, right? That's what they say. We have in Red Flag for the Air Force, we have the Best Laid Plans Award. So we have our best little lieutenant who thinks he's going to be a general someday, and we have him do an entire process for, this is how the war is going to go. And then we watch it unravel by day 2. And then when he can't handle it, we start to hit him with why exactly this is going on and exactly why the terminology flexibility is the key to air power actually exists. And then we show him all of the contingencies that we have in place for if this, then that, if this, then that. Don't forget about these guys and these guys. And oh, by the way, now you've got a platoon of Marines that are stuck over here. What are you going to do? Okay, well, where are your A-10s? That kind of stuff. Well, the same thing happens here, right? Your inspector comes out and all of a sudden your plumber forgot to replace something with PEX and it's still iron, and you missed it. Or true story, this actually happened. You tear down a wall that was unfortunately the nice old couple that I bought the house from, paid to have all of the knob and tube removed from the property. And then $17,000 after we found the knob and tube and that they had been, basically robbed. Yeah, that didn't happen. So we wound up having to rewire the entire house. That's kind of a long, drawn out answer to your question.
Second really quick one, and probably, I think one of the most important ones. You mentioned you're in New Jersey. You mentioned hockey.
Yes.
So are we Devils? Are we Rangers? Are we Islanders? Or God forbid, the Flyers?
I skated with the Flyers, Ken.
Oh, God.
I'm a Flyers fan. Sorry, buddy. I played with Tampa and I played with the Flyers alumni.
I don't know if I got to overcome that. I don't know.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. But the team, listen, I'm so bad at hockey that the two teams that I played for in juniors no longer exists. Okay. In Peterborough, they were a minor junior team. And then they wanted to send me down to Louisiana to play for the Ice Gators, not ice skaters. No, Ice Gators. That is alligators on ice. And they were in Louisiana, and we were so bad that they actually shut the team down. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. They kicked us out of the league. Like, it was that bad. So they come up here and I skated with but it was a Tampa Bay. So I tell people I skated with Tampa. I actually did. I practiced with them a couple of times, but I'm not that good. So, but yeah, I'm a Flyers fan. I grew up in Philly. Sorry, buddy. All right. I know we're kind of up against it at the 40-minute mark here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to jump into a home mortgage calculator and show you what I'm doing here to maximize my return on my BRRRR properties. Okay. If we're buying single, awesome. If we're buying portfolio, better. Okay. And I'm going to show you a real quick and easy way to get yourself into the $100,000 to $300,000 in capital, depending on what the value of your own property is. All right. So I'm going to share this again, go over here, and I'm fully expecting Ken to just tear me apart with a bunch of questions on this one, buddy. This is right up your alley. Okay, so here we go. This is what I'm looking at. And these are actual numbers, guys. I'm not making these up. I'm not, pulling these out of the thin air. I am actually working on this process right now. So I am in the process of replacing my mortgage with a home equity line of credit. Okay. And the reason that I'm doing that is velocity banking. So I'm going to put this in perspective for you. If you have a $255,000 loan balance on your $340,000 house, it's going to take you 30 years to pay it off because it's amortized. The amount of interest that you're going to pay is immense, almost half of what you're going to take out in loan. So in this case, on a $255,000 loan, we're looking at a $115,000 interest payback over the course of 30 years. Okay. So 50% of everything you're basically the amount of money, you're increasing the value of the amount of money that you're going to put out of your pocket by 30% plus. Okay. If that makes sense. Okay. So that being said, this is kind of a standard thing. Every bank will put this in front of you. They'll say, hey, this is what we got. This is our rate. This is our term. We're good to go. And everybody's like, oh, cool. Look, 2.65. That's awesome. Except it's not. And here's why. It's amortized. Your interest is spread out over 30 years. So for the first 15 to 20 years, you are paying more interest than you are principal. Okay. You are getting crushed and you don't even realize it. Even if you make an extra payment. So let's say I'm making an extra $350 payment per month. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to save $41,000 over the course of 30 years, but I'm still at $73,000 in total interest paid. And yes, I'm going to shorten my term. It's going to take me just under 20 years. Okay. Awesome. But it's still 20 years. What if I told you you could do the same thing in 5? Okay, Adam's shaking his head, man. I love it. Finance guy, we're in heaven. Okay, here we go. Same basic numbers. Okay. We're looking at replacing our mortgage with a primary home equity line of credit. A lot of banks will tell you this doesn't exist. You can't do this. Okay. Yes, you can. You just don't know how. Your loan officer is antiquated and he's been doing this. He learned from somebody who did it for 40 years. They learned from somebody who did it for 40 years. And this is World War II era, how you buy a house. And it hasn't changed. Okay. In this situation, I can take a $255,000 mortgage, increase my interest rate by 2 full points. That doesn't happen. I'm just telling you that you could do it. If you went 2 full points higher, I just wanted to show you in perspective, what you'd be looking at. If my payoff goal was 75 months, I make $10,000 a month and I have $4,000 of expenses because my $2,000 mortgage isn't there anymore. Okay. It's gone. So I've just reduced my expenses by roughly $1,500. Okay. Of all the interest that I was paying the bank. And just to keep this in perspective, I'm doing this. So I know that my $2,300 mortgage, which was the majority of it was interest. Now I'm paying $730 of interest, and the remaining $2,300 a month that I'm going to put in is principal. I'm sorry, the remaining, got caught myself. The remaining almost $1,500 a month is principal. Okay. So it flips the script on the bank. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. Monthly expenses, $4,000, monthly income, $10,000. I'm still putting all of that into one account. I'm still making my mortgage payment as though I was making it before, except I'm not. You're living out of a checking account. Nothing changes. Instead of using USAA, instead of using TD Bank, instead of using Chase, you're using your HELOC as a checking account. All of your deposits get directly deposited into your checking account. You have a check card. You have check writing authority for a period of 10 years. In some cases, 20 years. And you can draw from that by writing checks for a period of 10 to 20 years. All right. Now, several of these are ARMs. Okay. They're adjustable rate mortgages over a period of time, but it doesn't really matter. And I'll tell you why. If you look at these numbers, this is what we're looking at. Okay. I'm pulling $75,000 out of this in the future during the payback, and I'm still paying back my mortgage in 5 years. We got that? So the $6,000 a month that I'm still living on the same basic income. My expenses haven't changed. My income hasn't changed. The only thing I've done is flip the script, and now I'm paying more principal than interest. And my mortgage is paid off in under 60 months. My goal was 6 years. Now, there are different ways that we can do this as well. And you see the alternate payoff schedules or scenarios down the bottom. If you wanted to pay it off in 3 years, it would take you $13,652 a month. Okay. When your expenses don't change. Here's why it's important. The punchline. You now have 340. Well, let's just say you have 80% or 90%, depending on your property, of the value of your property. So if it's a $350, let's say $300,000 property, okay, at 90%, you're taking $90,000 off. So you have essentially $210,000 in check writing ability. Is that right, Adam? Am I off by my numbers? I'm right, right? 210. So you can write a $210,000 check on a rental property. Buy it straight out. No kidding. Awesome. Now you've got $1,000 in passive income. You own that property. You're putting that $1,000 back into your home equity line of credit. The tenants are paying your mortgage. It's infinite returns. Not a dime is coming out of your pocket. And you can do this for 10 to 20 years. Pull 100,000 out, pull $200,000 out, buy a new rental property, rinse, cycle, repeat. At the end of 10 years, you have a lot of income. Now, to put it in perspective, I coach my students this way. If you want to make $10,000 a month, you need 20 rental properties cash flowing $500 each. Okay. Those numbers work. I don't care if it's a multifamily property. I don't care if it's a bunch of single family properties. It doesn't matter. $10,000 is 20 doors at $500 cash flow net. In this case, it's 10. It's 10 doors. And the more properties that you have, by the end of the 10th year, you're probably going to title you're taking your check, you're writing it out of your home equity line of credit, buying your new rental property, and then you're pissed that you're not able to pay your mortgage off because you haven't gone to title yet. It's something that I call C3X. Okay. I'm not going to go. It's basically every time you get a rental property, if you're dumping the mortgage back into the mortgages, back into the balance, okay, back into your home equity line of credit, the amount of time that it takes you to pay off your mortgage gets less exponentially, to the point where at some point in time, you are going to be writing a check for a property where you're going to get the next month's check for rent, and you're not even going to have closed on the property and you're already ready to pay it off. Does that make sense? That's it, guys. It's not magic. It's math.
My brain's still trying to wrap around that right now. I'm actually on the website. I'm trying to figure it out because I've seen some things on YouTube and like, nah, this person is full of crap. But hearing from somebody whom I know, now I'm looking at it more seriously, and my brain's trying to say, okay, how does that work? So I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it.
Oh, let me really blow your mind. So while you're doing this, and Adam, this is you, man. This is all you, right? So you have a cash value life insurance policy and you're doing flips while you're doing this, and you're borrowing from your own cash value life insurance policy, and they're paying you 4.7% for money that's not in the account because you have it flipped into a flip, right? You've put your down payment and you're paying yourself 4.3% back. So you've got a 0.04% arbitrage. And anytime I step out of line, Adam, jump on here and slap me. Okay. All right. And then now I'm borrowing this. Bud Evans is borrowing this from his cash value life insurance policy and lending it to Aim High Properties or Code 3 Properties or whichever company I'm using to flip on that day. And then I'm taking 10% in interest from my company to pay myself back, and then putting the 4.3% back into my cash value life insurance policy to pay my loan back. And then the difference, that, roughly 6% interest taxed on your level of taxation, whatever your tax bracket is.
Hey, bud, could I ask you 2 questions on this?
Hit me, Ken.
One, you saying you'd be able to take a HELOC out on rental properties, but I've run into some pushback. So I have a couple of paid off rental properties as well from banks doing HELOCs on investment properties or doing cash out refis or any type of refinance or HELOCs. So have you run through that pushback? Or do you have a relationship with bankers that's already predetermined?
Yeah, there are banks that will specifically cater to investors, and there are banks that have no idea what you're talking about. They look at you like you got 3 heads.
And then 2,
Okay.
is it on you now if you're doing a HELOC because you're not escrowing your taxes and insurance? You just pay them when they're due, but you have to pay in the bank since you are the bank or whatever. So that's something, even though it's small, an additional burden on you to remember to pay your taxes and insurance.
That's correct. But keep in mind that because it's simple interest, if you're paying your taxes once a year and it's $9,000, then you're taking $9,000 at the first of the year. And then every time you pay back into your, and guys, this is calculated either daily or monthly. So if you're putting in $10,000 in the beginning of every month, then your payment goes down if you pay on the 15th. Your payment goes down. Your interest payment goes down. It decreases over the course of time. So unlike a mortgage, which looks like an X, okay, picture your principal goes straight up, okay, and your interest generally decreases every time you make a payment. And when I say straight up, I don't mean like that. I mean more like an angle, but it's pretty steep. Over the course of 5 years instead of 30, it's a steep angle.
Bud, can I jump in and ask you to talk a little more to something that you just hinted at? You mentioned the importance of understanding how amortized mortgages work or amortized loans, and you're talking about a line of credit that is simple interest. And I think that's a big distinction for you to draw for everybody because it makes a big difference. So would you speak to, you already spoke to amortized, would you speak to simple interest and how you can basically control your cost of borrowing? Exactly what you were just starting to say.
Yeah. So if you're borrowing at a rate of 12% per year, you just take that amount of money and you multiply it by 0.01. And that's the amount that you owe per month. Okay. Now here's the crazy part. Now that number doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the amount that you owe every month, because if you're making payments on it, the overall value, the overall principal that you owe decreases by a substantial amount. Okay. Then you're living out of your account. It goes up a little bit and then it drops down substantially and then it goes up a little bit, but you've already made your payments. So your interest rate, well, not your interest rate is the same. It's just the principal amount drops, and therefore the amount that you owe in interest, because it's simple, drops. Okay. I mean, Adam, if you want to jump in on that, and I mean, that's the most simple explanation I can give on simple interest. It's a standard rate that decreases every time you make a payment simply because your principal goes down.
Yeah, I think the lesson there, and this is valuable for everybody that's on the call as real estate investors, understanding cost of capital is very significant to your world because long-term it makes a big difference. So just as Bud said in the beginning, you get these interest rates like in the 3s or in the 2s on a mortgage and you feel like you got a great deal. And in the beginning of that mortgage for the first 5 years, you're paying an effective, potentially up to like 75% effective interest, where only a third of the money you're putting in is even going towards paying off the loan. If you can get simple interest Here's the lesson. If you can obtain simple interest, you always want to obtain simple interest over amortized interest, because with simple interest, just as Bud's saying, you can control your cost of borrowing by lowering the average daily balance, put in a big lump sum at the front of the month. And now that daily balance average has been calculated. And so you're not going to pay whatever your interest rate is on the 10,000, you're only going to pay it on the little tiny amount that's left that you owe on for that month. So you can essentially lower your interest rate at will by dropping money in strategically.
And to put this in perspective and give you a no kidding, like ground view, soda straw view on this thing, here's what we're looking at. Now, I told you that at 2.65, you're at a 30-year mortgage. Okay. Now I have more than doubled that in the HELOC calculator here, and I raised the interest rate, simple interest, to 7%. And it's still better than 2.65 of amortized money. Right? Let the floodgates open of knowledge. Guys, this was earth shattering when I saw this. And I wish I would have known about this a long time ago, because here I am, 52 years old on my last day of work. And I'm going, man, I could have had my house paid off, and I could have had, could have, would have, should have, but didn't. Okay. You guys have the opportunity to jump. Not you so much, Mr. International, because you and I are about the same age, man. So. Okay. All right. You're older. All right. I'll give you that.
Thanks, Bud. Thank you. So I put in a chat that TD Bank and Penn Fed do give HELOCs for non-occupied properties. I took a Penn Fed HELOC loan out already, right? And I'm refinancing it again. But I'm gonna need to talk to you, Bud, and I'm gonna have to get on a calendar, and Adam, I'm gonna get on your calendar too, because this is some good stuff, right? So now, when you're taking this HELOC loan out, though, you're taking the HELOC loan out to buy another property, correct? That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Every time that, well, I haven't, I'm actually waiting to close on mine. Okay. Again, this is one of those things that I went to Penn Fed and they kind of jacked mine up. Should have been closed 3 months ago. Instead, I had to move over to TD Bank and get it done.
Okay.
They did a drive-by appraisal and they used stuff that was outside of my zip code. And as a real estate agent, I got really mad. So it's not supposed to work that way. They're supposed to use, like properties within your area. So they came in with a $250,000 valuation on my $340,000 house because they were using properties that were in Riverside, which is a depressed area near me, but it's like 5 miles down the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, no bueno. So I went to TD and now we've rectified that stuff and we're back on track. But yeah,
it's like they tell me that there's such a backlog at Penn Forever that right now I start this process in like the beginning of August until maybe the end of October. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's all good. It's all good. You gave a lot of nuggets here. A lot of nuggets, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Hey, quick question, Lawrence.
Yes.
Where can I get this recording?
Aaron has it. AG.
I actually, I recorded it. So I'll have it. I'll make sure it gets over to Aaron so that he can post it.
Okay.
He didn't hit the button before
He hit the button. No, so I could. Right. Oh, you hit the button. Thank you. Because I was
It's
like,
all Aaron's fault. Yep.
Thanks for
hey.
trying to get me, Ken. Okay, all right. Okay, Ken, I see you.
I got your back. Aaron. We're good.
So thank you, bud. Thank you.
Hey, Lawrence, completely
Yes,
off topic. Did you record your meetup on Tuesday? Because it was pretty good as well.
Yes, I did.
And
Yes,
I
I
want
did.
to, even though I want to watch it again because.
Okay, well, email. I don't think I have your email, Ken.
Are you
I have your phone number, but I don't
Are you
have your
cleared?
email. Huh?
Are you cleared? Do you have the clearance for my email?
Listen, here's what I said about this military
TS
business.
and that one.
Listen, this military business, I remember this is a long time ago. This is like they're fighting in Iraq, right? Or wherever. And the guys on the radio, can you tell me where you're at? Can you tell me where you're at? He said, I can't tell you where I'm at. He kept on going. They just cut the radio program right off. Broop. So if there's no clearance, I'm good. I'm good with everything, no clearance. If it's something, if I tell you I have to kill you, I didn't want to know. I'm gonna ask. So do I have clearance? So yeah, please send me email, okay, Ken? Thank you. Any more
I
questions?
have a question. Oh,
Yeah.
I do. I have a question about your mentor, but like, how did you find, because he's very popular, but or pretty famous. How did you get a recommendation? How did you decide to go with him? And you've been doing it for 6 months. Do you feel like it was like groundbreaking, like being part of his group?
My mentor? I'm sorry, you kind of broke up a little
Yeah,
bit.
because you said your mentor is a guy from that show, right?
No, I work with Tarek. So I'm a coach. I'm a lead coach with Tarek. So
Oh.
I actually mentor students now. But when I
Oh, so
first
you work with
started,
him.
yeah. So when I first started, I joined a company called Fortune Builders back in 2018 with Than Merrill, JD Asajan, and now, believe it or not, now they come to me, and then we've got guys that are all of us are migrated over because Tarek was like, "Hey, I want to do this thing on Zoom. Let's jump in here." So I thought it was a really great idea. I'm over 61 total properties flipped in the last 2.5 years overall. So I had no problem making that jump. Fortune Builders, believe it or not, I couldn't get into their coaching program. And now, Tarek is like, "Yo, man, let's do this." Right. So now I'm their burr and creative financing guy. So this is the kind of stuff that I talk about all the time. I love it.
So you're gonna have to pay like $30,000 to be part of like Tarek's mastermind.
Actually, Tarek is 20,000, but keeping in mind that we have Wednesday night meetups similar to this, except the people that are talking are not, and I'm not saying I'm a scrub by any stretch of the imagination. I've got 61 doors, but you've got guys like Ryan Burke, who's out in LA, who's done 500. You've got guys that are doing commercial properties right now, like Josh, who's got almost 4,000 doors. Then you've got Tarek and his guys like Forrest. Forrest is his lead gen guy, and he just sits there and talks. When he starts to talk, I just go. Right. And then I don't know if you guys are familiar with JP Kilduff, who owns Anchored Homes in New Jersey, but he's another guy who's all over Facebook. JP flips properties in Jersey, wholesales properties in Jersey, was living in Virginia. Now he moved to Florida. He owns a skip tracing company. He owns a social media development company. So they develop content for individuals, and they'll actually publish stuff to like Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. He's another coach who teaches all that kind of stuff, marketing. So it's mind blowing. Plus, for 6-month period, you get one call with somebody like me who's done this. And you can pick like Jeff Fallon, who's got several hundred flips, who did marketing for a major company for almost 15 years. So when you talk to him, it's the things that he's forgotten, I probably will never know.
When you pay the big money, you get the big players involved. Because some of these programs are really expensive, and I'm like, is it, just it's worth it? But
Yeah.
it must be.
Claudia,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I have right now, I have 5 virtual assistants. I'm in the process of hiring 2 more. Okay. If you are looking at something that has an expected return, you can't look at it as though you're spending money. Okay. One of the phrases that I hear that really drives me up the wall the most is when people who have no idea what they're talking about say, "Well, you got to spend money to make money, I guess." No, you're an idiot. You need to invest money to establish an expected return on investment. Okay. And if you are looking at hiring someone for $1,500 a week, you had better expect a 10% return on that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
And if you don't, then that person's going to lose their job, and they're going to lose it relatively quickly. If they're in your lead gen and they're not turning leads, if they're in your acquisitions program and they're not closing deals, if they're in their marketing program and you're not getting calls and you're not getting visits to your website, they're gone. Okay. It's that simple. what is your expected return and are they matching up, right? I'm willing to spend $10,000 a month. Without question, I'm willing to spend $10,000 a month on skip tracing, ringless voicemail and mailers, because I know that I'm going to make 3 to 4 times that in wholesales, right? If I get one wholesale, it's $10,000. I just paid my bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I get one burr property and I can turn that, I get one of those every 2 weeks, I paid my bill.
Yeah. Return on investment. That's a good point.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So good, bud. Good, bud. You better say something.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at a new CRM. It's called Keep, because I've outgrown RealFlow, which is it was adequate when I was a solopreneur, but now that I've got more than one person, I'm developing a CRM. Actually, I got a big whiteboard here on my left that you guys can't see, and it's got all kinds of gibberish written down, and it's just different columns and whatnot with like if this then that. So if somebody comes in and they're a hashtag lead, then it goes to an email, then it goes to a text, then it goes to a call with no voicemail. So it'll just leave you a red badge on your iPhone, like, hey, you just got a call and you missed it, right? No call was actually made. It just goes through the CRM. Then there's a ringless voicemail. Hey, this is Bud. Just wanted to let you know that I'm about to send you a valuation on your property. Hope I can give you a call later and we'll discuss it. Then they'll get a text message on a follow-up. Hey, it's me again. Sorry, I missed you. Then it's another text message. Same thing, right? Just like that. And then we'll go into, okay, now I'm actually going to call the individual. Now they've had 6, 7, 8 touches before I've actually ever picked up the phone. All right. That's one category. It's one campaign that we run. The other campaign is I have cold callers. So I will, this month, 15,000 cold calls went out. Those cold calls are generating 5 to 10 leads per week. Okay. So 15,000 names, and it'll be like absentee owners, high equity properties, zombie properties, things like that. And then we'll concentrate on 5 or 6 different zip codes, and we'll just rotate those zip codes. Now I've got a virtual assistant who does those. I've got a virtual assistant who follows up. She also does SMS text campaigns and ringless voicemail campaigns. I have an executive assistant who works directly for me to make sure that I'm on time doing the things that I'm doing. I'm supposed to be doing, we get back to that extreme ownership, right? So I have videotapes, or I can't call them videotapes anymore. What do you call them, right? I have recordings that I put online that shows exactly how to run. I use roor.app, Roar app, and it shows them exactly what to do, how to skip trace those leads, how to drop them into Roar app, how to start an SMS text campaign, and then how to drop that same spreadsheet in to create a ringless voicemail campaign. That is all going to be tied together with this new CRM. So I don't have to do anything. As soon as they drop that into Roar, or they drop that Excel spreadsheet into Roar, every ding that comes in is going to drop into Keep as a text message saying, I don't care if it's stop calling me or some profanity, which happens, right? That's an answer. That's an answer. Stop calling me, you idiot. Okay. I'm good with that. That's an answer. I'll deal with it. If it's because for every one of those 1,000, calling me a bad name that happens, I get somebody who goes, hey dude, maybe we should talk. Okay. And then it goes to acquisitions, and Diane follows up on that. And then she's like, hi, this is, I represent Bud. We're with eXp Realty and Code 3 Properties, and we're doing valuation reports for the area. In today's market, we think it would be a really good time for you to check out the value of your property, and we'll give you no obligation estimate on the value of your property. Is that something you're interested in? Well, they've already said they're interested in it, which is why we're following up in the first place. Now we go down the seller lead sheet. Who are you? Are you the occupier? Do you own it? When's the last time you did the roof? When's the last time you did the bathroom? Do you have hardwood floors? And if the answer is 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, there's a checklist. Okay, on the left-hand side. All right. What do you think your property is on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, it's a 5. It's a solid 5. Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. And then we get to a certain point and it becomes, okay, so exactly what would you be looking for if we were to put an offer in on your property? Well, $300,000. Okay. And how'd you come up with that number? And then you start asking them questions and letting them justify their own statements. Oh, okay, so you're saying that you want this, right? But the house down the street, well, I based that on the property down the street. Okay, well, great, that's awesome. Except, you don't have new hardwood floors, is that right? Right. And you don't have a new island in your kitchen, is that right? Yes. And you have a wall in the middle of your living room, is that right? Well, yeah. And the other place has a pool, but you don't have a pool, is that right? And then let them, well, yeah, but you know, I was thinking, you know, and once they start doing that, then they start to realize like, hey, I'm going to need to lower this price. Now, there are times when somebody's like, hey, yeah, the value of these properties is 400,000. And I just did a bunch of renovations to my property. Hey, bud, maybe we should talk. And I go, cool, EXP Realty hat. Here we go. Let's put this on the MLS. Either way, I'm making money.
Thank you, bud. Wow. Okay, Flo, y'all been writing this down? You got everything? Got everybody there? Okay, that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of information, bud. You've been dropping nuggets all night long.
I can talk about this for 12 more hours, but people.
I know you have to go soon, right? You have a protocol, right? So before we go, everybody please turn your camera on. All right. Caroline. Everybody turn your cameras on, please. Desmond, you working? Dennis, Rhonda.
I'm at work right now, Lawrence. I don't supposed to.
I don't want this. That's it. I don't want to come shoot at me. I need everybody to take a smile, please. There you go. Aaron. One more time again. Thank you, Des. Thank you. But Aaron says, Aaron, I'd like to say thank you for coming tonight and dropping many nuggets of information. I'm gonna get in contact with you to find more about this HELOC business going on here.
Yeah, man. Hey guys, my contact information is in the chat. Don't forget to download the chat. You can do that by clicking the three dots on the right hand
That's
side.
right.
Smiley face.
Yeah,
Save the chat.
thank you, bud. We definitely got to talk about how to use credit cards for infinite banking as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Balance transfer checks are a beautiful thing, man. That's why I have at any point in time I have about $60,000 in credit card debt. The banks hate me.
I need to use mine for that. You know,
12 months. It's cheaper than a mortgage,
Right, it's free. It's
and I
free
can
money.
refinance. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Free down payment. All right, guys, I'm punching. I'm
All
gonna
right,
stop
buddy.
recording.
Thank you, man. I'll be in touch.